Hello, I'm Neva, and I'm one of the programming directors here at WildHeart. And we're just so excited to have Biodanza as part of our programming here. And I'm just thrilled to get to have a conversation to learn a little bit more.
Hi, I'm Maira, and I'm a didactic biodanza facilitator and school director. So I train biodanza teacher and teachers. I say sometimes my English I forget H's and S's. So if it does not make too much sense what I say, just add an H or an S, and you might understand much better.
Perfect.
And I'm very thrilled to come and bring Biodanza to Wild Heart. Thank you for the invitation, Neva.
Yeah, of course. So
Mm.
I thought maybe we could start by just hearing a little bit about your personal journey of how you got into it and where it's taken you, or whatever you'd like to share about your personal experience with it.
Sure, it's been quite an adventure. So I was introduced to Biodanza a little more than 20 years ago. And by one of my sister, actually, who had, before that I had a school and I trained ritualist celebrants. I was teaching the art of ritual and energy work and different type of also the how to craft meditation and create journeys for people, healing journeys for people. I was trained as an acupuncturist, as an herbalist, and in different modalities regarding rituals and different formats of healing. I was doing a lot of sound healing also. I was a trained singer and worked with tuning forks when nobody knew we could do that and all of this. So over 20 years ago. And my sister had studied with me in my school different things. And one day she called me and she says, "Oh, I discovered something you'll like, and it's going to be my gift for you, for all these things that I learned through you." So I went to an introductory evening. It was the month of March in Montreal. And I came into that room full of people and entered that. I don't know how to say, it was so simple and so magical at the same time.
Mm,
And I felt really amazed at how easy it was to bring people in a very, very profound, deep space of connection with themselves, with one another, with the world, in such a playful manner, in such a sacred manner, it was so peculiar and so easy.
mm,
And there was a school, the school was the program for training teachers here in Canada for the first school was just starting. And I asked if I could just attend the weekend workshop of the school, and I never got out of that school. I'm still there. 20 years later, I became the school director, and so yeah. So it's been a beautiful, profound healing journey.
mm,
And I have to say, to this day, some days, I go teach a class, and I'm not feeling that great because life is what it is, right? Life is beautiful, and at the same time, it's demanding. And what still surprised me is that I go and teach a class, and if I don't feel great when I start, I definitely feel wonderful when I stop. And when the class ends, there's something alive inside of me. There's this reconnection with the beauty of being alive, with the privilege of being alive, and with the beauty of what is the human species and what we can do when we just get together and choose to open up, open our hearts, open our soul, and move our bodies. And so for me, that's what it is. Biodanza is my very well embodied mindfulness practice, I could say. It is the thing that brings me back to center and brings me back also in connection with very earthy reality, and at the same time, I feel like saying, even if that sounds a little woo-woo, very cosmic reality. So the way we are interconnected with the whole of the living and the whole of the universe. And all of this through movement and dance and encounters of the most simple manners. And it for me, one of the things that is really beautiful and that it does in my life is that coming once a week and or coming for a whole weekend and inhabiting every gesture, because in Biodanza we dance gestures of everyday lives and also archetypal gestures that are the fundamentals of human dance of life. Gestures that mean the same thing in all cultures, in every era. If I do that to you, it means something, and if I do that, it means something. If I do that, these gestures. So bringing them into the dance, and then it reminds me in my everyday life to fill every gesture with presence, and so it changes my everyday life. And so for 20 years, it's been a practice that I've been exploring here, but also like in Europe and Latin and South America. And I have yet not finished exploring all the possibilities and everything it offers. So I guess that's what I can say. So it's been a phenomenal adventure for me. And when I came to Biodanza, I had, as I told you, this school where I was teaching healing hearts and I was teaching uh, um, uh, energy work and rituals and all of this. And I was looking for more movement. So
Mm.
I thought I would get there and get the movement part of it and bring it into my work. But what I did is bring all of my work into Biodanza because it's such a wide and rich container.
Yeah. Wow, wonderful. So I'm gonna go off our planned questions. But I guess I wonder, for people living in the United States, it might be new to them. They may not have heard of it before. And I know that it's a very like widely spread and known practice in other parts of the world. I wondered if you could
It's
speak to that in areas where it's happening and how many, I don't know, how many schools are there? Are there 100 people doing it, 1,000 people, a
No,
million
there's
people doing
thousands
it?
of people. There's thousands of people this doing it. Last summer in June, we went with some of the students from the school here and some friends from the United States to the International Congress, and we were 2,000 people dancing. And that's
Wow.
just a tiny part of the huge community. There is, I think, 200 and yeah, probably 230 schools around the world
Wow.
training teachers. Yeah, and there's over 10,000 facilitators around the world. Very little in the United States, but there's like quite a bit everywhere in the world. So we are in, I think, 28 countries or something like that. So there's Biodanza in, of course, in Canada, a little bit in the United States. There's a lot in all of Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans. There is in most all countries of Europe and in Scandinavia and in Russia and Poland and in South Africa, in New Zealand, in Australia, in Japan, in Indonesia. There's quite a bit of biodanza in very, very many places in the world. Yeah.
Wow. And if you took a class in Canada and then you took a class in Japan and then you took a class in Australia, would it be similar? Would you know like, oh, I'm in this practice. It's a
You
shared.
would you would definitely know you're in that shared practice, and then you would see the color. Every facilitator have their own color. We have a very Biodanza is a method. We can say that, okay? It is not a free dance approach. It is a method, as a methodology, as a theoretical model that support the whole of the practice. The practice is based on a very pragmatic understanding of the physiological, psychological, biological reality of a human being. The very archetypal understanding of what is the human species and how we work. It is based in anthropology and in biology and in the understanding of physics, and so it is based on the law of the living. And the methodology is made to really come and reharmonize the nervous system, enhance the sense of one's own identity in a non-egoic project. So, what if every one of us choose to unfold and feed as many possibilities that are dormant inside of us? What if we all choose to bloom at the same time on planet Earth? What would happen if
Mm.
every individual would just be allowed this unfolding and consider themselves not as a personal project, but as one of the many phenomenal projects of life, and as such would be curious of what they are and bring forth and help each other bring that forth into the world. And basically, that's the project of Biodanza.
Well, that sounds really amazing. I'm sold.
The funny thing is, when you come to a class, the first impression you have is that you're playing. You're back somehow into the playground like you were a kid, and then you're brought into a more quiet part of the session where you connect deeply with life inside of you.
Mm.
And but what is stunning is the overall impact in everyday life when people make it a practice. You can come and have a phenomenal weekend and have a grandiose experience in an intensive workshop, and this is something. But then when it becomes a practice, when you go in one of these workshops, a couple of times a year or 3 times a year or something like that, but you do this regular weekly practice in which you just gently progressively uh, reclaim permission to be all of who you are and to share and to regain I have to say, I feel like saying the wisdom, uh, the deep wisdom of life that is inside every human being. You know, Biodanza is about being alive, about being creative, about being affectionate, understanding that love is the integrative power in all of what we do. It's about regaining a sense of pleasure and understanding that our senses are antenna through which we receive the rich, deep experience of living. It is also about transcendence, about being able to overpass the limits of our egos, to connect with one another, to connect with nature, and to develop a deep sense of the sacredness of life. And because of that, we become life's caretakers. So we take care of ourselves because we are life's bearer. We take care of each other because we are a fantastic phenomenon of life. We take care of the environment because the environment is alive. And so in that way, in a certain way, it is a practice that changed the way yeah, we are into the world. Mm.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess that, it touches on one of the questions we're going to talk about is what are the benefits people see from coming to a class, and how does it shape one's life, and how does it shape communities, which you just
Yeah,
spoke a little bit to, but is there anything
yeah.
else there, or anything in your personal life that's maybe surprised you in your unfolding on this journey of like
Um,
what's the real impact of
For me, it made me, I'm a very intense person. And so what I needed from Biodanza is not for a lot of people come and it gives them back their intensity. For me, I was not too much in need of that, but it softened the angles. It somehow yeah, it deepens my ability to love and to see the beauty in every human being I cross, no matter how different they are. I think that's one of the things I appreciate the most. For a lot of people, the students that come to classes or the participants that come to the sessions, what they often say is really it rebalances their nervous system, calms down the level of anxiety on a very important level. It also regenerate the ability to trust other human beings, and so it regenerate the social tissue in a certain way, if I can say that. The fabric of the community is strengthened by the practice of biodanza. People feel like safer with one another. And it is very interesting to understand that our human nervous system is made in such a way. I don't know if you're familiar with polyvagal theory and this whole approach. So Dr. Porges, who developed the theory, talks about certain signs that we have developed uh, um, to recognize if we are safe or not, the ability to look at each other in the eyes, when the eyes come forward, when the head tilts on the side, when the smile comes. There's something in the practice of biodanza that generates this sense of joyful happiness that makes it happen naturally. And so we relate from that space of feeling fully alive, but also coming forward with that joy that generate our ability to trust one another. It creates a sense of complicity that is the I feel like saying the mother of affectivity, of our ability to love and be in compassionate space with one another. It is through playing, it is through enjoying ourselves with one another that we generate that desire for relationship, for relating, for connection. Biodanza basically work on connection, connection with self, with each other, with the world around us, with greater reality. It is, yeah. So when you say something that as surprises me, yeah, because people come and they talk about, I see people come with a very deep trauma, and gently you see that melt and the sense of safety being recreated. But for me, I think what was the most beautiful thing I saw in Biodanza is the impact on communities. During the pandemic, I was invited to go and teach in an area of Quebec that is quite remote, uh, northeast at the end of the continent. And so I was invited there by a women's center, and the first work was with women, and then with the all of the community. Now those are small villages, and people came to class, they came to dance, they came to workshops, and gently the way they relate to one another in the community changed. The way they created support system for one another, the way they generated support group where they started making offers to one another of their gifts, of their crafts, of their abilities. And right now we have a big community in that part of the world that is happening, and it's very, very beautiful. I think that's what surprised me most. The work over there is something, and right now we have the work over there is something that really blew my mind away. It was so beautiful just to see people, and then people meeting at the supermarket, and people, and then the impact it has on people who do not come and dance. But there's enough people in that kind of practice that the whole space change, and it's very, very, very beautiful. And so some people from that area, I have 5 of them that are training to become biodanza facilitator. They drive 10 hours to come to the workshop and 10 hours back every month. Imagine that for 3 years. It's
Wow.
incredible. But what we saw over there was so beautiful, so phenomenal, really magnificent. We saw the impact in the community. We don't always see that in big cities, but in more rural area, we see the difference it creates. We know it does it in the big cities too. It
Right,
just
of course, but that's
yeah,
beautiful. That's really beautiful. I mean,
yes, yes,
there's so much, talk of how to build community.
yeah,
And It's like, oh, here's a real tool, a real
Yeah, it is. It's a real tool for building community, for world change. For there's also there's some specialization. We work with elder people. We work with children. There's like different communities of people we can work with, and we've seen beauty, Mm, a lot of beauty. I think it's yeah. I think it's uh, about safety and about about love. And for me, I realized at a certain point that there were three things a human being cannot live without, and it is freedom, safety, and love. And these are essential for us to feel fully alive and to unfold, to bloom, to be able to offer the best of what we are. And Biodanza works in generating full permission to find these things together, not having to trade freedom for safety or safety for freedom or yeah, or love for freedom, or but that we can have all of it together, that we can belong and be free at the same time. And it's very simple exercises, dance, music. We shut the talking machine. We and we enter in other forms of communication in which we can really meet the reality of who we are and welcome one another. Mm.
Will you say a little more for someone who is maybe listening and thinking, this sounds amazing. How could it be? Like what who's maybe considering coming to a first class and is like,
Yeah.
what what sort of more specifically could someone expect in a class? Like, do we stand in a circle? Do we stand in lines? Is there music? No music, to just describe what
Yes.
actually is going to happen to someone and with someone.
So the first thing is that it is a group practice. There is no individual biodanza. It is impossible. It takes a group because the people, actually, the facilitator looks like they're facilitating, but the facilitators create an experience and hold the space. And the people coming to dance will actually facilitate one another. It is through the encounter, through the poetry of human encounter, that Biodanza acts. Biodanza acts with what we call the vivencia, the intense sensation of being alive, here and now. It is through the invitation to get out of the image of self, the project on self, all of these things, and the coming back to the experience of self and the experience of self in relationship, that we will change the way we move into the world. So, what happens very often, the class begins by a speaking moment. And in the speaking moment, the facilitator will explain what we will do in the evening. The group will share. There will be a sharing circle at that moment, most of the time. And and then we'll enter the dance. The class will is usually made of a series of between 13 to 18, depending of if it's a workshop, if it's an evening, or of dance exercises. Every exercise prepares the one that follows or allow for the integration of the preceding one. The participants are invited to just not speak for the hour and a half, 2 hours that will last the dancing moment. Um, the beginning of the class is very lively. We play, we dance on rhythmic music. We just heighten the sense of self. We strengthen the sensation of one's own identity, the sensation of our own living body. And then we'll gently harmonize and slow down and enter into more uh, moving space of connection with self, with others, depending on the level of the group, and enter into something more, yeah, deeply intimate in a certain way. And then we'll gently bring back the rhythm and prepare to just leave. And we will not add talking circle at the end. We want people to leave with the experience and allow the experience to just do its magic. And we'll talk the week after when they come back to weekly class. Then we have a sharing circle. What happened last week with blah, blah. What did it do for you? But the class is always like that. Very often when we start, the thing that is a little more surprising for people is that we will start by a circle and we will dance a circle. And most of us here in the Northern Hemisphere and in North America have not danced in circles since we were little kids. So it feels a little awkward. And at the same time, all people of the world, all human people have danced in circle. And you can see the closest they are to nature, people is to nature, the easiest is it is for them. So we do these things that belongs to the heritage, the inheritance of humanity. Dancing in circle is something incredible. There's nobody on top, nobody on under, nobody in front, nobody behind. Everybody's on the same plane, and we can all see each other, and we can find a way to rhythm ourselves together. So just become one for 3.5 minutes. Just become one and find a way to adjust to one another and create that safe container. In a certain way, we can say that every biodanza session is a ritual. It is a ceremony of life celebration. And so we start by creating the sacred container, the vessel, the circle. We call in the circle by dancing in circle like that. And we close the ceremony by dancing in circle. And in between, all kinds of things will happen between those two circles.
Beautiful. Yeah, that feels clear. Like it's like, okay, I can, well, I've been to a class, but also I can imagine the arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, wow, thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Well, maybe to say that biodanza has been developed over the last 60 years. It's not a new modality. It started in Chile in the 60s, and it's been unfolding ever since then. It is at the same time very simple and very deeply complex and researched. And yeah, and most of it, I want to say it's real fun. It feels good. The main thing is just it feels good. And we can talk all we want about biodanza, but the only real way to know what it is to come and try. Mm,
Great. Well,
yeah,
hopefully, if you're listening to this, you'll come and try it at WildHeart or find another space where it's offered and see what's possible in your
yeah,
life with
yeah,
Biodanza.
yeah. Thank
Okay.
you very much, Neva, for that shared moment.
Yeah, thank you. So wonderful, so inspiring. I feel enlivened just having this conversation. So that's awesome.
Wonderful.